evening and welcome to the April 3rd, 2018 Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen's meeting. May we have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Selectman Tropiano, Selectman Scasiotti, Selectman Slavin, Selectman Titlebaum, and Town Administrator Derek Sullivan.
Okay. Let's see. Pledge of Allegiance. How about Madam Moderator Smith?
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Completely lost my place.
Thank you.
Completely lost my place.
Let's see. Announcements. Selectman Tropiano.
I have none today.
Selectman Scasiotti. Once you get dressed, Clerk Slavin.
Yeah, you know, old, slow, whatever. Announcements. This is from Mary Anderson. This is one of the latest of scams that goes on the phone, especially targeting older citizens. I'm going to read actually what happened to warn people so they know what's coming on. This says, "Hi, Janet. I am a realtor who has worked in Wareham for many years. This weekend, I received a phone call on Saturday evening from one of my elderly clients from years ago. She is 92 years old and lives in the Parkwood Beach area. She apologized for calling, but explained that she had received a postcard saying that her property was in trouble and that she needed to call a certain number right away. She thought that she and her deceased husband had done all the right things using an attorney when they purchased the property, and she had always paid her taxes, and now she thought that her property might be taken from her. I assured her that I would come back and look at the postcard on Sunday. I did go over and read it. I have attached it here. It uses the words like urgent, do not discard this notice, please respond as soon as possible, and it has her name, street address right on the card in the front and on the back. Very official looking. It gives a number to call 24/7 to get a message about this private matter. I called the number, and the whole thing is a tape scam to convince the property owner to let this investor group make an appointment to come and talk to the owner about avoiding a real estate person. The investors buy the house in any condition, and so on. I told her that it was just a scam and she didn't need to call that number, and it did not come from the town of Wareham. She was very relieved. However, I am concerned that other Wareham property owners who might also have received these postcards might be as alarmed as this elderly lady was. I thought that I would share this with you, and you could determine if it should be brought to the public's attention at the Selectmen's meeting, which we've just done. So if you receive a postcard with this kind of information, put it in the rotary file.
Have we notified the police department?
Yes.
There's nothing illegal about that.
Just
No.
send a postcard telling
No.
you there's something wrong with your property?
No. To use the
No.
words like urgent, this, that, and the other thing, I mean, people get 5 of those a week.
If you look at the way it is, they can
Well,
get it.
it is until they try to get money out of you, then it is.
No. They're just making an appointment to buy your property. There's nothing illegal about it. It's probably not the way I'd go about selling a property, but there's no fraud necessarily here.
No, it's just the idea that
Like
they
fraud
make
to
people
me.
nervous. We also have a person who's passed away. Gertrude F. Wilson, 83, of Wareham, died March 24th at the Toby Hospital after a brief illness. She was the wife of the late Robert J. Wilson, born in Boston, etc. Nursing school, St. Margaret's Hospital, worked at the Massachusetts Hospital for the Disabled. After retirement, she continued to serve the community she loved at the Wareham Council of Aging and as a fuel assistance and outreach counselor for 13 years.
Okay, thank you.
One quick thing, I'd like to thank the town of Wareham for at least the last 6 years allowing me to serve them, and whether I go forward or not, thank you.
Yeah, there is still, by the way, a town election going on, so if you're worried about Slavin not coming back or you want him to not come back, alternatively, you can go vote.
Either way.
Right up until 8 o'clock, Precinct 1, right across the lot here at 54 Marion Road, Town Hall. Precinct 2, the Hammond School in Onset. Precinct 3, the Minot Forest School on Minot Ave. Precinct 4 and 5, the Deacon School in West Wareham. Precinct 6 on Minot Forest School on Minot Ave. So you've got till 8 o'clock to make your decision.
Mr. Chairman, I just have an update. As we know, the Carver Marion Wareham Regional Refuse District closed down for the brush, for taking the, not just brush, but the leaves.
Leaves in particular.
So Due to the closure, the Town of Wareham Municipal Maintenance Department will temporarily be accepting compostable leaves and yard waste during this time. When? Second Saturday of each month. Time, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 95 Charge Pond Road, which is a half-mile past the Wareham YMCA. The regulations are clean leaves and grass clippings only. Any mixed trash, branches, or non-compostable materials will be refused. All compostable products must be removed from plastic bags. Biodegradable paper compost bags are permissible. Commercial haulers are prohibited. And also, that's when they take the brush. And reminder, the brush regulations the brush shall be no more than 3 inches in diameter, cut into 3-foot lengths. Stumps and logs are prohibited, and commercial haulers are prohibited. And I just wanted to let folks know, too, that over the last couple of weeks, they had opened up to allow the stumps from the storm and such. And just so people understand, that was $10,000 for us to grind the stumps that we had received and such. So it's not that it's just sits there and it's nothing. We actually have to grind them up. But, you know, I'm happy that the municipal maintenance director and some other folks have worked to put this together to try and help folks.
Could you get that on the town website on the front page temporarily?
We are very much going to do that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I just wanted to say, next week, it's going to be a different board you see up here. There's going to be at least one and possibly 2 additional members. If it's the latter, I've been very grateful to have served with Alan for the last 6 years. Nobody's busted their ass for the town of Wareham since the way he has. He attends meetings that frankly would put me into a stupor, comes back with reports and information that's useful, goes up to Boston frequently to lobby state officials, and also as part of the Mass Municipal Association's sort of Selectmen's wing. He's a vice president on that. He's worked extremely hard, and I'm not going to say that we've never had our differences, but at the same time, Alan's always been sincere in his desire to see this town move forward, to help the people who live here, and to try to create a nice environment for us all. So I'm very appreciative of his service in that regard.
Thank you.
I'd like to tone in with that, too, because, Alan and I have had our differences along the way, and we've always found a way to agree to disagree at times, and I think that's sort of the power of our board in general. We agree to disagree, and, we argue the issues, we make a vote, and it works really well, and Alan's been a big part of that. I mean, a really big part of that, and he showed all of us leadership, in the process. And I appreciate him being here, and I hope that he continues.
Great. Thanks. And again, next week, we will reorganize as we do after every election. We will select a new chairman, a new clerk, and we move forward from there. But it's never too soon to start talking about town meeting and to get people's minds on that. That's April 23rd, Monday night at 7 o'clock. We switch into the special town meeting at 7:30, deal with that warrant, and then come back to the regular town meeting afterwards. So I hope we get a good turnout for that as well. The election turnout today actually was not so bad, comparatively speaking. I would guess that by the end of the day, there'll be about 1,300 people who will have voted, maybe a little more. It's not too bad, but when you consider that we've got about 15,000 registered voters in this town, 10% of you are making the decision on how this town is run by us sitting up here, and 12,000 of you show up for a presidential election, and yet we can screw up your lives a lot more than anybody in Washington. So it's really, you kind of got it backwards, folks. Just saying. And with that, I'll move on to citizens' comments. Is there anybody who'd like to speak to the board tonight? Mr. Jepson, come on up, please.
This gentleman with the glasses wants to speak to you.
He's
Actually,
on
Don
the
Jepson,
articles, he never got here.
15 Long Beach Road. I just have some questions rather than making any statement, and that is, after we had the special town meeting to discuss marijuana, I was under the impression, and maybe I was wrong, that the town didn't have any alternate course other than to approve what the state was supposedly mandating. And yet, I look in the newspaper and I see where Freetown has basically voted not to have retail sales of marijuana in their town. Milford has done the same thing.
We got the answer.
Medway, Bellingham, and I wonder if you could clarify why it is that they are able to go forward, and this town, basically, we're told that that's the state mandate, and that's the way it was.
Well, that's not, this town voted in favor of marijuana at the ballot back in 2016. In order to overturn that result, you could not do it at a town meeting because a town meeting vote is not considered superior to a ballot vote in a town. The only alternative at that point would be to vote this out at an annual election. By the time we ran into the issue of whether the town was going to vote at town meeting to accept regulation of marijuana, which it did unanimously, by the way, in the form of the 2 warrant articles that were presented, had the town decided at that point not to do anything, and we were in a panic about what are we going to do, we wouldn't have had time to get this onto an annual election warrant.
Okay, well, one of
That's the only way to cure it, and to be honest with you, I'm going to speak for myself, and the others can weigh in. The referendum passed in this town 57 to 43%.
Okay.
It passed during the large turnout election that I recently referenced, and I would have a very hard time putting something else on the warrant to go against the will of the people.
Well, the situation that took place in Freetown, and I'm reading, it says the results of the 2016 state ballot question permitting recreation marijuana use in Massachusetts showed the legalization did pass in the town by 53% to 47%. So they were able to overrule that to ban it.
No, they
So-
can't. No, they can't.
They can with an election. I-
Well,
Can I make-
He's
and I
talking
believe
about
that's what
town
they
meeting.
did.
No, they didn't. Can I explain to you? They took one step. They took a step by passing a town meeting. Town meeting doesn't do anything. Now they have to wait till November, and they have to pass on a ballot question again. So if the ballot question fails again, they go back. And the problem is, at that point there,
You have no
they are
regulation.
wide open for 100 or more retail locations anywhere in town with no control.
You know, I'm
You
not
only
trying,
have partial information, sir.
I'm not trying to question what the town did, but if Freetown was able to do this by having an election, our election was today.
No.
Why could we have not done that?
It's not an
Has to be on
election
a state
done.
election.
It's a town meeting vote first, and then a ballot question November,
On a state election.
state election. It's not the same. They're taking a risk that if that question on the ballot in November fails, they are wide open for any kind of marijuana facilities
Any place.
and locations anywhere.
Okay, well, why are these other towns doing this, taking this tack? Are they all disregarding their legal ramifications?
No.
Yes.
Okay, well, it'll
This-
play out.
And
We'll
you've
see.
only got 4 or 5 towns out of 351 cities and towns in the state of Massachusetts.
Well, I'm just looking at the ones that I
understand,
saw
but-
quickly by
but you need to-
Googling it,
you
and
need
I
to
saw,
read-
I found 4
You need
towns.
to find more detail when you look at that.
Some
It's
towns,
only one piece of the puzzle.
Say, I'm here asking a question, I'm not here to...
And normally we
trying
don't
to say
normally we don't do this at this time. We take your questions and give you the answers afterwards, because we're
Okay.
not prepared ahead of time. But I can tell you from my experience working with the state, that's the deal.
Yeah.
This town was not willing to risk that particular piece.
well, in
Okay,
any town,
no,
that any
you've
town
answered that
that did,
question.
any,
The other-
to- any town that didn't vote for it. So if they didn't vote for the ballot question, didn't vote for it during the general election back in November, in other words, they didn't get a favorable vote in their town, they can put a moratorium in place.
But that was not the case in Wareham.
Yeah, and Freetown.
And
So
Freetown's
Freetown's
also-
out there on a limb is what is what
They
basically what
are,
you're
yeah.
saying. Okay, no, that answers my question.
Yep.
The other question
risk.
I brought up at the special town meeting on marijuana, and the answer that I was given is that the funds that will go from the 3% are not to go into the general fund, and I didn't want to tie up the town meeting, but where are those, or where are you expecting, or planning on those funds, the 3% tax?
Reversed. We
Yeah,
said
they
we were
would
to
go in the general fund, Don.
That's where they go.
Yeah, we said.
Any unallocated funds, and by unallocated, I mean funds that we haven't been told by the state legislature through special legislation that we can put somewhere else, go into the general fund.
All right, I thought I heard at the town meeting, the finance committee said they weren't going into the general fund.
No, that's not the case.
There's no other
Just the
place for them to go. They have
Yeah.
to go to general fund.
So the town will profit by being in the business of selling marijuana then.
Maybe.
Yeah,
And
Yeah, if it works out for the
If we
businesses.
open up the shop, we'll profit.
could go towards schools or whatever. And you've heard me comment on what I thought my recommendation was.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Don.
Good evening.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak to the board tonight? Come on up, sir.
Frank Petroli, 12 Grove Street. I presented the Article 18 for the funded director for the Council on Aging. And I'd like to just change it a little bit. I was on vacation, I think, when your secretary Janet called last week, the week before.
Well, just so you know, the article itself cannot be changed at this time because the warrant was published about a month ago, and that's the article that goes to town meeting. If you're looking to amend that, the only way you can do that is through a motion at town meeting, and then you run the risk, if you change it too much, that lady in the gray jacket behind you will say that it goes outside of the scope of the article as presented in the warrant, and you can't change it. So why don't you just tell us what it is you're looking to do, and
The only thing I'm looking to do is to state where I'd like to see the funds come from, to come from the certified free cash budget. I looked online, I couldn't see how much free cash there was, but, and then I'd just like to state, I've been in Wareham for about a year and a half. And I've only been to 2 Council on Aging meetings, but I read the Beacon and I read the paper, and I came from Middleborough, I lived in Stoughton, I lived in Dayton, and Wareham, I've been told, is the only municipality out of 350-something that doesn't fund the Council on Aging. And then when you factor in approximately 22,000 citizens, 8,000 approximately are seniors. Also, the 70,000 of I believe it's a $60 million budget, or thereabouts, is 0.00112% of the budget, total budget. I think roughly on a per person, it's $3.18 per year. A household of 5 would be less than $16. I think your grandparents, your great-grandparents, or the elderly couple next door are worth that small amount. Today's seniors are the people that were sitting in the town meetings 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago and asked to make the hard decisions about new schools, new fire station, new police station. Back then, they stood up and they made the hard choice. I just think a director would help make life easier for the seniors, particularly with so many. If my figures are correct, a third of the population are seniors. And my opinion is I think they deserve it. They've put their time in, and I don't know, when I came and found out that there was no director, and it was the only one out of the whole state.
We do have a director.
It's a temporary director.
She's retired, but she works temporary. And if this passed, if you were to go full-time, she couldn't do the job.
No, I know. No, she doesn't want to do it. I've spoken briefly with her.
I
Missy,
just had a meeting in her office. She'd like to stay for a few years on her temporary basis.
one of the things, just so you know, that this board did, I want to say about a month and a half ago, we received from the state via a federal program what's called a Community Development Block Grant. And we also, some of our programs actually earn income where we invest that money, and when it comes back to us, we have to use it in certain ways. one of the ways is the provision of social services. This board did vote to allocate $20,000 for senior outreach through the Council on Aging. So there's already been a $20,000 allocation there.
And then there's another 10,000 in the grant. Because there seems to be some confusion, because you've attended the meetings. We have a council on aging.
I've attended, January and February meeting, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so-
not a funded line item in the budget. That doesn't mean there's no funding. It's not in the budget, but that doesn't mean that there is other funding that isn't applied.
There's other funding, but
So it's essentially grant funding is what does pay for it at this point, so.
I mean, we have a full-time employee there besides the director. We pay for her salary and, we pay for her benefits outside the rest of the budget. And obviously, we cover the heat and utilities and stuff through the municipal maintenance budget and such. There was a funding group that got together a few years ago, the Advocates for the Elderly, specifically to raise funds for this.
I read about that in the Beacon, yes.
Yeah, so do you know how they've done?
I have no idea, no, I know just
Okay.
every monthly in the Beacon, they're asking for donations.
Okay. I did talk to the director, and sorry to say, she's not in favor of this article.
Have talked to her, she didn't express that interest to me. I mean, she's only, from what I understand, she's only working 5 or 10 hours a week, because that's all that's left.
Right, we tried to find other ways to keep her funding, and then with the monies that we have coming next fiscal year, she'll be able to work part-time, and she believes that she can do a darn good job for the
But
seniors.
that's not a line item.
No, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If the line item's the difference, that's more, I guess, that's the principle of the matter then.
Well, I was an accountant my whole life, but I don't know much about municipal governments. I just think 2 years ago, the position for Missy was developed through a state grant for like
Yep.
55,000. And now she's on a part-time basis, again, from state grants. I really don't, my personal opinion is I really don't want the position to rely on getting grants, because some year it may not, and who's gonna come to a job knowing that next year it may not be there?
And that's how we hired her. She came
Yeah.
on board.
I
no?
Herb, I'm talking.
Yeah.
She had retired, I believe, already from her
Yeah,
previous
and
position.
it was a perfect match.
Yes,
so.
this position was.
Yeah.
But for someone, generally, you put an ad in the paper, and they come in the interview, and you can't tell them it's gonna go beyond next year. I don't think too many people are gonna be interested, particularly if they have a family they have to support.
So, but I mean, we're talking several years out, because she's asked that she wants to stay for a few years now. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. If we have this funding to fund her on the part-time, which she can only do because she's retired, I'm just trying to figure out, is the motive to make the statement, or is it to remove
No,
her
as
and
I
get a
said,
full-time director?
As I said, I went to 2 meetings, and just got involved when they were talking about the director. And from what I read in the bulletin, and from previous places, I know towns have full-time directors, and they do a lot for the seniors. They coordinate benefits.
Well, we have somebody in there doing all the benefits right now, a full-time employee.
But my feeling is that,
Okay, yeah, that's,
that's
I'm sorry,
that's why I presented the article.
yeah, I don't think everything was clearly explained to you to begin with, so I apologize that none of this was explained to you.
How would I go about changing, just the motion at the town meeting? As to
But
where-
you would want to submit that to, all motions, you want to submit to the moderator, where you know you're going to be making a change potentially. You should probably get a hold of her before town meeting and have her take a look at it, and if she's got a question about the scope, she can look at it and confer with our town council and see if it's,
I walked upstairs with her, and she gave me her business card.
well, there you go.
No,
So I think she anticipated this, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, she's kind of cagey that way.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. You're actually you're only the second out of 4 petitioners who bothered to show up before us, so congratulations.
I came home just for this,
There you go.
and the snow.
Yeah, the beautiful weather we're having. Let's see, we don't have any appointments, reappointments, or interviews. Oh, sure, come on up. Yeah, come on up. Sorry.
My name's, excuse me, let me sit down here.
Just speak right into that mic.
I will.
okay? Thank you.
My name's Jim Manise, Precinct 4. I was here, I think, on the 21st. Was that the last meeting, 20th?
No, we were here the 27th.
Yeah.
We were here last week,
Before
too.
that, week
Yeah.
before.
Yep.
And
Yeah, you had some questions for information?
No, I put in a request verbally, and then I followed it up with an email to Mr. Sullivan and to Chairman Titlebaum.
Yeah.
The system, it tells you that your email's been sent, but you don't know if it's been received or anything. So, and I've had no feedback. So I was just wondering
You were putting that
how the request for the information that I made to you is going.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
know we were interrupting back and forth last time, so I'll let you speak. One of the questions was about the dump stickers. Until this year, they were not segregated. So would you like the beach stickers, because they were the beach and dump?
Sure.
Okay. And then the other amount is you asked for one of the things was on the haulers. I believe the haulers are part of the fees that we get back from CMAS.
Yeah,
So I don't think I have a way to break that out. I've been looking into it. So are you okay with that as a lump sum? So I'm trying to figure out, I asked the Board of Health, like, they said it's about 150 per truck. You know, you get maybe
Well, yeah.
$1,200 a year.
I would think that we'd know how much money we get back and how much money we collect in license fees from the haulers and
Yeah.
what the tonnage is and what the payout is on a tonnage, just on an accounting point of view for the town so that we know what, where we stand.
Yeah,
So, if you can get me some figures on that.
Yep.
And on the stickers, I always thought there was a breakdown, but it was sold as one. But that, however it is, will work for me. And also the names of the representatives from Wareham on the refuse committee.
Yeah, that one, I mean,
commission.
we've only had Marietta the full time, so that one was easy. I was just trying to get you the rest of
Yeah,
this back up.
this is going back for, a number
Get
of
to
years.
2012, I think you
Yeah,
request.
And as you said, you're gonna be open the second Saturday of the month for leaves.
Yep, for the second Saturday going
Um,
forward.
That's better than nothing, I guess, but it's
We also
kind
looked
of
into some,
inconvenience for many people who just can't make it on that second Saturday. I was down to Rochester Saturday, just dropping off a little household trash, because I don't load up the leaves and stuff until I know. I'll go by and check it out, because I don't want to be unloading and loading. Husband and wife are down there, they got the household trash, and I got a little utility trailer. They must have been doing in your yard cleaning, filled with leaves, but no place to go. So it's pretty sad to see people, there's no information out there telling them that, we're closed. And, it's a service that I think that we should provide people, they come down, a lot of small yards here, 50 by 100 lot sizes, 100 by 100, and you come down, clean up your yard, it's good to have some place to go, and you can't always make it the second Saturday or something, or you're retired. So if we can move to have them open on a more regular basis at the transfer stations as they're operating now, I do know that in 2020, they might not be operational, as I believe a contract will be coming up or something. Yeah, and but we don't know what they're doing, and I will say that the Rochester facilities, the gentlemen are very nice down there, and I think it's Covanta runs that one, if I'm correct.
CMAS, yep, Covanta.
Yeah. And I'm not sure who operates the one in Marion, the red.
Carver Marion Wareham Regional Refuse District.
Okay,
And then their brush or the leaf area was on just town of Marion land. So that's not district land.
that's what's running right now, they're burning their brush.
Yeah, so that was
On a
never
regular
district
basis.
land.
That's a nice thing to offer, too, a little more opportunity for people to do that. Jumping to another quick thing, I have a property over to Swiss Beach area. And there's a manhole, I think, on the corner of Swift Ave and Bayview. It's had a orange barrel in there for about 4 years. It's kind of collapsing into the road. It'd be nice to get that repaired. And also, there's a hole developing next to the manhole in the corner of Crocker and Lunar. And I mean a hole that you look down into next to the manhole. It should be repaired.
Okay. Have you reached out on those at all to municipal
I just,
maintenance?
you know what, I was coming here, I just figured I'd bring it up, and maybe you can get in touch with them. I mean, that barrel's been there for years, it's not something that's occurred, and it doesn't seem to be one of the areas that might be having some trouble with the sewage infiltration, because there's no ripples in the road from where you're seeing it, it's right next to the basin. But, I mean, those are
Best
things
bet's
that...
always to municipal maintenance, because they do
Yeah,
track them,
right.
they track the complaints, and that helps
barrels
us too. So,
Orange barrels there, so it's, you know, if it's a half a year or a couple months, it's one thing. Those things should be taken care of on a regular basis.
Right.
That's my opinion, anyhow. I guess that's about it, and thank you for your time.
Great.
Thank
Have a good night.
Thanks, Mr. Muniz.
Okay, no appointments, reappointments, or interviews. We have no licenses or permits. First up, discussion and vote to establish retail marijuana host agreement application fee. This is the one where Patrick actually reached out to me and had an interesting point, which is that under the recommended procedures, the third from the bottom, in the event the town has more than 3 applications for the 3 retail stores allowed under zoning, the town will establish selection criteria for comparative rating of each application and will choose the most advantageous proposals. I would say that the town will choose the most advantageous proposals because that makes it completely discretionary.
That's right, and it's really, and it should be up to us to decide that, just like it is with every other license.
Right, well, yeah. If we take out the idea of scoring it, if you will, then that leaves it in our hands to make that
I mean,
determination.
it's not that we wouldn't take recommendations from the department
Right,
at all, because we always do.
yeah.
But I just don't want to have somebody questioning the legality and saying, well, that's...
I should have scored higher, or what did you do? And
Why didn't you
Yeah.
follow this routine or whatever, and just put us into a problem with the law, with the courts, you know,
Yep.
if something came up.
So, did anybody else have any issues with that? Because I think the way,
No, other than that, I'm okay with it.
okay.
Have we established the selection criteria?
That's the point, is we're going to eliminate that. We're just going to choose the most advantageous proposal.
Right.
All right, so we're going to eliminate that once part of the sentence.
Right.
That's what I was
If we
gonna say.
eliminate that, then nobody can come back and say, I got screwed because you didn't
Exactly.
didn't
The
apply
town
the
sh-
criteria
We
correctly,
should
or,
have the right to pick, you know, there may be one that's better, in our opinion, than another one. And we
Right.
should have the right to do that, because that's what we're here for.
yeah.
And if we don't have some flexibility to be able to choose what we think is best for the town, that's not right.
No, as a license,
Exactly.
in terms of licensing, we need more freedom rather than less.
Yeah, right.
It's fine with me.
Because people don't like it, you always got a day like today to take care of it.
You know, if the one that might met the criteria might be underneath somebody's, you know, somebody's apartment, right? And there might be one a little further down that's not under an apartment, and we might say, well, this one doesn't quite meet the criteria, but guess what? It's a better place for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We wouldn't have that flexibility.
Yeah.
We'd be stuck with the one that has, that's
The
under
highest score or
somebody's
whatever,
apartment.
yeah. Okay, so, well, can I get a motion to vote to establish the
So moved,
application and the fee?
so moved.
The application process and fee. Okay, motion by Selectman Tropiano, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. I will let Director Buckland know of the slight language change. Possible votes to recommend warrant articles. Do we want to go forward with, it doesn't matter because the warrant's already out.
Yeah,
We can push it off till next week.
Yeah.
I mean, if people want to mull over what this gentleman
Yeah.
has for us.
yeah, that's just,
And we didn't get the other 2 in anyway.
right.
All right, any other town business not reasonably anticipated 48 hours prior to the meeting?
Not I.
I have, sorry.
Yeah, there is one thing there.
Yeah, we need to basically vote on
Vote on a poll worker.
Patricia J. Long, 10 Corey Drive, Wareham, Mass. I think there was a Scribner's error in the name, so they're just correcting it.
Yeah.
The undersigned selectmen of Wareham have on this day appointed you as an election poll worker, precinct 3, to a term expire no later than June 30th, 2018.
Second.
Okay, motion by Selectman Scasiotti, seconded by Selectman Tropiano. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstained. It's a good thing we did that, or your election might be invalidated,
That's true.
you know? Don't want that. Okay, town administrators report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We applied to the Community Compact for 2 items, which are the developing urban renewal plan and developing the solid waste contracts. We received, for each one, received a $5,000 grant from the state, so we will move forward with those items. So 2 $5,000 grants, one for developing the urban renewal plan and one for developing solid waste contracts. Also, if you remember, we received a grant of 100 hours of technical assistance from the municipal waste branch of the Mass DEP. Because of the Carver, Marion, Wareham Regional Refuse District and what we've applied for, we asked them to regionalize that grant and pull in the whole district so we can start making the plans for the district for the next 3 years and such. I think people forget that the district had a little bit of issues for about seven years or so, or there was something going on. We've just stepped in trying to help clean it up, but they have a brand new board and such, so I know everybody wants things fixed, changed, and redone overnight, but it can't happen. I'd love to. My life would be easier if it was running 100% smooth. Trying to undo, a couple years.
We've been in a pickle.
Exactly. So, so this is one of the ones we're trying to work with them, and I appreciate all the efforts from the district. We do have a request from Mr. Buckminster to be added to the district into the future as our 3rd member, because we have one open spot.
Yeah, who
So,
picks that, us?
yep.
Well, get it on an agenda. We could do it next week if you wanted.
So he may have asked for that in a moment of weakness, so I would say act.
Strike now?
Yeah, act quickly.
Strike now, okay.
He may regret it after
All right,
the weekend.
Hey, it's on him then. Just, yeah.
So, just some updates for you, and, last week, we were hoping the school would vote upon their budget, since that's what was presented to the Finance Committee as going into their warrant recommendation document. Unfortunately, they did not. I'm hoping they will vote tomorrow. I mean, it's literally a few weeks before a town meeting, and I just would love to see that get squared away.
Yeah. Okay, let's see, liaison initiative reports. Selectman Tropiano?
I think I'm going to pass tonight.
Okay. Selectman Scasiotti? Clerk Slavin?
Just a few. On Wednesday, the 28th, the Coastal Zone Management presented a program showing different grant programs, et cetera, that were coming down the line and explaining the different projects and how they work. Serpent Commission met on that Wednesday night. Nothing of importance for the town of Wareham really came up during that time. Everything is kind of staying as it is. Okay. Cemetery Commission met on Thursday morning, as usual. Again, went over the article for a town meeting and made sure they had the information and the proper paperwork so it could be explained properly at town meeting. And I don't think we had anything else. No, that's it.
Just so everybody who's interested knows, the continued hearing on the Woodland Cove 40B proposal for the corner of Cranberry Highway and Red Brook Road will resume on the 11th. I believe they meet at, I can't remember if it's 6:30. I think it might be 6:30. But check the agendas, but it is on the 11th, and that's when the hearing will resume. So if that's something you're interested in, one way or the other, please show up then. Again, now we are down to about 19 minutes to vote, if you want to vote. I don't think I have anything else by way of a liaison or an initiative report. So let's go down to the consent agenda. Let's see, we have meeting minutes.
Okay, got a bunch. First, meeting of December 19th, 2017. I was absent, so someone else will have to make a motion for that.
Make a motion, we approve the December 19th? Minutes.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve meetings of December 19th, 2017 by Selectman Tropiano, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain.
Miss-
Abstention is Alan.
Mrs. Whiteside actually was the clerk for that one.
That's all right,
Uh,
but you can sign it by necessity.
Yep.
Next. Minutes of February 23rd, 2018,
You mean 13th?
February 13th, and we were all present. Need a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion to accept by Selectman Scasiotti, seconded by Selectman Tropiano. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, unanimous, 400.
Next,
March 3rd?
we're good to go.
March
Nope.
6th, yeah.
February 20th, 2018,
2020.
all present. Need a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Okay, motion by Selectman Scasiotti, seconded by Selectman Tropiano. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, abstained, 400.
Okay, minutes of March 6th, 2018, all present. Need a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, motion to accept by Selectman Scasiotti, seconded by Selectman Tropiano. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Okay, next I have a motion, I have basically March 15th, 2018, executive session. We were all present. Need a motion to accept and hold.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion to accept and hold by Selectman Tropiano, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400.
Executive session for March 27th, 2018. I make a motion, I need a motion to accept and hold again.
Second. Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to accept and hold by Selectman Tropiano, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. And the last motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Clerk Slavin, seconded by Selectman Scasiotti. We'll make it a roll call vote. Selectman Tropiano,
Yes.
Selectman Scasiotti,
Yes.
Clerk Slavin,
Yes.
Titlebaum, yes. Good night, Wareham. 400.